You might find it challenging to get your students to rest during nap time. After a busy morning of playing and learning, it's important to create a calm and relaxing environment to help them rest and relax for the rest of the day. So today I'll be sharing some tips on how to help your students relax during nap time. Stay tuned. So nap time can be a classroom management low point. So what this video is going to do is basically put the three different components, the before, the during, and the after together so that you can create this environment where children will want to go to sleep, and if not go to sleep, at least rest, so that the other students in the classroom can fall asleep and stay asleep. I have had some really rough nap times, during my career, and I've had some great nap time. And a lot of it has to do with how I approached these particular parts of the whole process. Because this may be part of the day where a lot of new teachers don't really think about as much, because it's a part of the day where the children are not supposed to be active, so that we think a lot of times that, okay, this will be a time for us to just woosah and collect ourselves, and that may not always be the case, especially if you don't have some systems in place for when this part of the day happens. So we're going to start with before. Within each part of this whole process, the tips that I'm giving you are not in any kind of order. Whether you do this first, second, third, it's not in any particular order. Pick what you want to use and leave the rest. So before nap time, you want to make sure that you are able to calm the children down. So they may have been at recess, they may have had some type of active play right before this time. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you start the wind down process kind of early. You don't want to start it at nap time. You want to make sure that you start it beforehand. So for instance, if I'm going to use one of the centers that I worked at before as an example, we had lunch right before nap time, which probably is the case for most, if not all, preschool daycare. During that lunch period, you may want to have some calm, relaxing music playing in the background while the children are sitting and eating and talking to each other and things like that. And even during that time, I have been known to even bring down my tone so that my voice is kind of calm, because they do feed off your energy as well. So just bringing it down so that they are able to relax and they are able to start to make that transition into, resting. One thing that you could have, early finishers, like children who are done eating. What is it that you want them to do? Remember, it's something that's not going to rile them up, so they're not going to go to any table toys or anything like that, because you don't want to open that up to, having center time again right before they go to sleep. So you want to make sure that whatever activity they are supposed to be doing after lunch but before nap, that it has to be calm. What I've done in the past is that the children would go grab a book from the bookshelf, and then they would, grab their lovey, basically like a little stuffed animal that they have brought from home, and then they would go to their bed, and then they would lay down with the book. So this was a great way for them to start to relax their body, relax their mind by just looking at, books, while the other children are finishing up their snacks and lunch. The children may finish at different times, when they're eating. To make sure that this process, this part of the process, or this transition period is locked down, that you have something that works and have something that is efficient and effective. Now, if you have a bathroom in the classroom, then this may be a great opportunity for them to, after they finish cleaning up, then they can go to the bathroom and take care of that, and then grab the book and their lovey, and then go back to their bed. Now, if you don't have bathrooms in the classroom, then this would be the time where, you know, you have your children laying on the bed so that you can see who is done with their lunch, they've cleaned up their spots and stuff like that. And this is also a perfect time if you have a co-teacher in the classroom. This would be an opportunity for them to take maybe the first group of 8 to 10 kids to the bathroom that is, you know, outside of the classroom. Then while you take care of the children who are still sitting and eating and finishing up, everything that you're doing during this time is basically feeding into your nap time. So all the activities, all the different, you know, processes and procedures that you have are meant to calm them down and get them prepped for the rest. So I did forget to mention, when the children have gone to the bathroom, when you are leaving the classroom, make sure that you turn off the light, however you set up the nap time. If you close the blinds, or if you turn off lights, or whatever the case may be, that is done so that when the children come back from the bathroom, then they can grab their loveys or go straight to their bed. We have did all the bathroom transitions and all that stuff, and they're now laying on their bed. Now what do you do during the actual nap period? Now this would be the time where you could pat backs, if that's allowed, in your center to, you know, lull them off to sleep. You can, you know, sit with children who are having a difficult time, you know, just to be like kind of like a comforting kind of, you know, presence. And again, during this part of the day, you're having calm music. The music that you have at this time is not loud. In other words, you're not playing classical music on like a volume of 20. You're playing it the point where you can hear it, but it's not distracting. It's not going to keep them up. You know, I've been in classrooms as an assistant and or as a floater, and there have been times when the music is so loud, I'm like, how can they even sleep, you know, with this music so loud? So you have to be very conscious of how the volume that you are setting on your music. The other thing is talk radio. And I say this because I've experienced this before, that talk radio is not really conducive to a relaxing environment, because otherwise then you could just be on a phone talking to somebody. It doesn't really help them fall asleep. So I want to say, I stress not really going towards radio stations that play classical music because of the commercials or because of the talk in between songs. So if anything, you know, try to get some CDs, try to get some different channels on, you know, some streaming devices that have basically that this kind of songs that you want to use, and then use those, because the commercials there are not as frequent as they are on like a radio station. Another key thing to do during this period is to limit the amount of movement that you are doing during this time. In the past, I have thought to myself like, oh, this is the perfect time to put up a new bulletin board, you know, because the children are not vying for your attention. So you would think that this is the perfect time to like put up bulletin boards, to hang up, you know, artwork and all that stuff, which it can be. But at the beginning of the nap time, you don't want to do that, because you don't want to become entertainment for the children that are trying to fall asleep. So be focused on you rather than, you know, trying to fall asleep. So I suggest that you hold off doing that stuff. Basically make sure that most of the children are asleep in your classroom. When most of the children have fallen asleep, and then increase the movement that you had going on in the classroom. So if you are looking for specific artists or specific types of music to play during nap time, you're going to want to screenshot this in a couple seconds, because I'm going to give you a short list of the types of music and artists that I used during nap time. Go ahead and take a picture now. For after nap time, so when your nap time is done and all that stuff, you do want this transition period to be smooth as well. As part of your classroom management, transitions is a huge part of your whole plan. You want to start with those children who didn't take a nap, or the ones who are awake early. Let me back up. All the tips that I'm giving you in this video should be introduced, practiced, and worked on with your students. Like this shouldn't be new to them. It's part of the routine. It's part of your procedures. So it needs to be, introduced. It needs to be demonstrated and practiced and all that stuff. I just wanted to say that because it just popped into my head that this stuff is not just gonna magically happen. You have to make sure that they know what they're supposed to do when they get up out of their beds. So depending on the time of the year, this may be a way for them to help you with their bedding. So for instance, maybe at the beginning of the year, they are just taking their lovey and putting their lovey in their cubby or in their backpack or whatever the case may be to help you. Another part of the year may be them actually putting or rolling up their blanket and stuff and putting it in their designated bag and then putting it on their hook or in their cubby or wherever you keep them. So this is that time. And of course, if you have a second teacher or if there's a floater that helps with this, those children will go to the bathroom, first, especially if it's outside of the classroom. They would go to the bathroom first as a group, and while the other children are still trying to wake themselves up. And of course, this changes if you have a bathroom in the classroom. So while this is going on, then you are taking those beds, those cots, and you're putting them away. And then you are working your way around the classroom for the children who are still sleeping. You're, gently waking them up so that they can, start the rest of their day. And then those children will, do the same thing. So I say all this to say, like, each part of this whole period in your day is super important because each part sets up the next part. So the before sets up the actual how well they rest during nap time, and then what happens during nap time, and sets up how the after part happens or how it takes place, and then that period sets up the rest of the day. It all works together. So that's basically the three parts of the day broken down. Again, so I have some exciting news coming very soon. So if you want to be a part of that and you want to learn about it before everyone else, then I would like you to join my email list. So I'm going to put my email list into the comments so that you can click and join. And I am going to be having a special announcement coming really soon, and I can hardly wait to share. So a couple takeaways from this, not only the tips, but also just to remember that creating a calm and relaxing environment is essential for nap time success. Let me and others know what else has worked for you in your classroom. So try these tips, take what you need, leave the rest. Just make sure that you're creating that environment. That's the overarching theme of this video, is to make sure that you are creating the atmosphere, the environment, so that they are able to have a successful rest time, and that you can get a little bit of a break, a little bit of a breather before the second half of the day. So you know what to do. Go ahead and subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you know when the next video has been posted. Until then, I'll see you soon. Bye.